Hey, rookies, it's week 10. Jeff, hey, week 9 was my worst week, 7-7, straight up, 2-3 ATS on my premium pick so far. I'm 79-57 straight up on the year. Looking for week 10 to be a much better showing. How was your week 9?
So it was my worst week. Definitely this season, probably the last couple of seasons. I was 0-3 on my premium picks. Of course, that means I missed my free pick as well. And I just closed my straight ups. Straight up was 6-7. So 83 and 51 for the year, but
I think I might have closed the gap on you one.
yeah, yep, you did.
Hey, so I picked all the wrong underdogs last week, and of the underdogs I took, they all lost. But the under game is back. 3-14 went over last week, so for the totals. So had one just bet the unders with no analysis, they'd have won 78%. No sweat. Very few games, very easy games to pick on the unders there last week. Favorites went 10-2 straight up, and 10-4 ATS. Really the best showing of the week for the year of favorites. And finally, the home teams went 10-4. I thought that was an interesting trend. Any thoughts on the trends from week 9 that will continue into week 10, Jeff? What are your thoughts?
Well, the unders continue to make me curious. I think a lot of it is due to the injuries, really high profile injuries that we've had this year. But it is concerning because you would think the NFL wants more scoring. So I still keep looking for it to change, and it just hasn't changed yet. So a little surprised.
Yeah, I'm surprised too. And this week we have some high-powered offenses that are on bye. The Chiefs, Rams, Dolphins, and Eagles are all on bye this week. And the Falcons, Colts, Pats, and Saints are going into the bye week in 11. So maybe week 11 is where we start seeing more scoring, as those teams going on the bye have been pretty much under plays all year. Hey, a few trends I've picked up on so far this year that you maybe want to bet on or bet against are the following. Bengals are 4-0 ATS in the last month. The Steelers are 6-0 to the under. Jags are 5-0 to straight up, or I'm not straight up ATS in September. Pats are 2-9 to the over all season. So betting the Pats under is like printing dollars. It's like going to the ATM machine. They just don't go over. As well as the Raiders, surprisingly a lot, 1-8 to the over. I think that changes though with Pierce at the helm with O'Connell. Um, and surprisingly, I don't know if you realize this, but the Chiefs are surprising 2-7 to the over as well. And the Chargers games have gone under their last 6 games. I don't know what's going on in the NFL. Some of it's the books, but some of it is just bad offensive play. Meanwhile, in the NFC, the Bucks broke their 5-game under streak with a 70-point game. 70 points, no, over 70 is like 76 points between the Texans and the Bucks last week. And the hapless Giants are only 1-8 to the over. A few trends to think about as we finish up the season. Any trends over the year the entire football season that you picked up in your spreadsheet, Jeff, that you want to share?
Well, the main things that I've seen, Cincinnati's one of the changes. They were really off to a rough start, but the last few weeks they have really turned it around offensively and defensively. So you're looking at a trend, they're on an uptrend. Buffalo, the exact opposite. They were really outscoring people early in the season. So numbers wise, it looks like I should be favoring them, but their last 3 weeks, well, 2 of the last 3 weeks anyway, they've really disappointed. So I think they're trending down at this point. So I'm probably going to pull back from them as a premium pick.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. You got to watch Chase. We'll talk about that when we get to the Bengals game. But Chase might be banged up again. And if I remember right, part of the problems, the Bengals' early problems were Burrow, but also a little bit of Chase injuries. But we'll talk about that. So hey, we kick it off Sunday in Germany. I'm sure the Germans are pleased to see the Colts and Pats take the field. The Colts are favored by 1.5, and the over/under set at 43 and a hook. Rumors have it Belichick's job's on the line. I don't think that's actually true. I think that's just social media rumor. but he's had a terrible season. So I don't know how many terrible seasons you can have, even if you are a 7 Super Bowl head coach champion, which he is. I mean, we saw as kids what happened to Tom Landry. No one would have believed that at the time. So anything's possible. Having gone through that. Colts are scoring 25 a game. Meanwhile, the Pats are scoring a pathetic 15. Total defense, the Pats are giving up 333 yards total offense in 24 a game. And the Colts are giving up 360 yards and 26 a game. So the defenses aren't very good. Franklin and Brents are questionable for the Colts D. The Pats are banged up on both sides of the ball. Wise, Bentley, Jones, Bryant, D, and Parker, Douglas, and Brown on the O-line. I like the Colts on a neutral field. Jeff, who gets it done in the Reich line this week?
Well, the injuries to New England are tilting me away from them. Numbers say I should go with them at home because they do have a better home split. But I think I'm going Indy against my numbers because of all the injuries and because I really do think there's a possibility that Belichick is on the hot seat. I think he may not be interested in coaching there at this point. So there's a possibility for a big crater at the end of the season.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, Jeff. You're going with the
Indy.
Indy. Okay, yeah, we're both going Indy this week. Hey, the resurgence of the resurgent Bengals host the Stroud-led Texans and are favored by 6.5. The over/under set at 48. 13 players on the Texans side are questionable though at starting positions. Chase and Higgins are questionable on the Bengals side. The Bengals are clearly on the resurgence after another slow start. CJ had the best quarterback game of the year, throwing for 470 and 5. Clearly has wrapped up rookie of the year. And I wouldn't count him out as an MVP, being an MVP, talk at the end of the season. If he continues to play well, and the Texans, if they make the playoffs, who knows? If they get past a few teams, he may be the guy. He's played that well. The upset, they upset the Jags on the road in week 3, but have lost to the Ravens, Falcons, Panthers on the road so far this season. The Texans have. The weather's going to be perfect. I like the Bengals here to win outright. Feels like the Texans are outclassed and will not be able to keep up. Might lean to the under if this gets over 48.5. Jeff, is Stroud and versus Burrow the new quarterback one-on-one matchup for the AFC? Both played at Ohio State.
Well, so that will be interesting. I certainly like some of the matchups like the Tua and Hurts matchup the week or two ago. That was fun. So yeah, we could have that. I still think you got Burrow and Mahomes is the key for the AFC. And then you've got a couple of up and comings. You've got Jacksonville and Houston with up and coming quarterbacks. So that'll be fun. I think as long as Chase is healthy enough to play, I think they're going to cover in this game. I think Cincinnati is on the upswing. Their defense and playing at home, I think will tame Houston's offense.
Yeah, all those injuries on the Houston side really concern me.
Yep.
And I think the other thing is that the Bengals defense is played really better football the last 3 weeks. So I expect that to continue. Hey, let's move on. And Joshua Dobbs got it done last week at Atlanta as he came in relief of an injured Hall and looks to get the nod at home against the Saints. Saints are favored on the road by 2.5, and the over-under is 41. Vikings broke a 4-game understreak last weekend, scoring way over the total with Dobbs at the helm. I mean, he did that against the Cowboys too, and really played well in Arizona, considering the talent there. The Saints have gone 2-7 to the under so far in games this year. So it feels like 41's too many for this game. This feels like a score early for the Giants and then ground and pound, a 24-13 type game to me. Saints are only giving up 17 a game and the Vikings 20. So right there, it's you're 4 points under, and I think both teams are not going to play as effectively with all the injuries and such. I like the Saints here, not going to overthink it much. New quarterback and situation Minnesota. It didn't really get much better. The Saints D is not the Falcons D. So I see this as a straight up and against a spread bet on the Saints. Jeff, is this Minnesota team for real?
So we are going to differ. It's close for me, but man, I've been impressed. Dobbs threw to those receivers for the first time during pregame warm-ups last week, had not even practiced the cadence and the calls, and came in and won the game. And he did beat the Cowboys earlier with a pretty, subpar Arizona team. So I wonder if he's better than I've given him credit for. And my numbers say this is basically a pick 'em. And so I'm going to lean towards Minnesota in this one.
All right, taking the home team in Minnesota. Hey, next up, the Steelers host the offensive-less Packers. They're favored by 3.5 with the over-under set at 38 and a hook. Seems high for this time of year. All kinds of banged up are the Pack. Jones was limited to practice. 3 O-line are still nicked up. And four defensive players are all questionable at starting positions. 4 questionables on the Steelers' D side of the ball as well. Doesn't matter because the Packers don't score on good or bad defenses. And while Pickett doesn't hold a rating, he played hurt pretty much all year long. Look, the AFC is better, especially down toward the middle of the pack, and the Packers are currently stuck in the middle of the NFC, struggling in all facets of the game. Feels like the Steelers D is going to shut them down. And I think the Steelers offense will do enough like they've done all year. Feels like a 20-6 type game to me. Any value here on the Packers, Jeff?
I don't think so. So I've got some close numbers looking at Green Bay, but playing at home, I think Pittsburgh's D is going to be able to stuff Green Bay's offense. They've really been struggling, and I don't think against Pittsburgh at home they'll be able to muster much. So you probably are right on the 6 points for Green Bay. I don't know if Pittsburgh will hit 20. So I'm thinking this is a really boring and low-scoring game.
Yeah, it just feels boring. I mean, it feels like something the NFL doesn't even want to put out there. Actually,
Like
maybe it'll turn
Thursday night
around
game.
though. As soon as I say that, this is a game will go 38-37 like the Bucks Texans game did last week. I don't know where that
Yeah.
offense came from. Hey, next up, the Bucks host the Titans in lovely Florida. Low 80s at game time. The Bucks are favored by a point. The over/under is 38. I like the over here a lot. Levis is getting comfortable with the offense after 2 games, and there's so much explosiveness here that will make the run game even more productive. I also think the Bucks are going to be in some high-scoring games the rest of the season. That's kind of a trend I'm looking at. So it feels like a trend here for the remainder of the season. Perfect weather for the game. I like the Titans to keep this close, and it could come away with a victory, but overall favor the over more than the side. Jeff, do the Titans turn around this season?
I don't think they turn it around. I think Tennessee is on the decline, and they missed a chance to rebuild. I think they should have made some of those trades right at the deadline. So I think Tampa Bay wins this one. I've got it down to a 0.2 point advantage to Tampa Bay, but so I wouldn't feel strongly about it, but I'm going them to cover and to win.
Okay, go with Tampa Bay. All right. Well, I like the over. If I have to pick a side, I'm going to pick the Titans. They've got a more explosive offense. Game of the week is the Jags host the 49ers. They're home dogs at +3 with the over-under set at 46. Jags are coming off a bye at home since 2019. Jags are 1-3 after the bye, so not great. And the 49ers also off a bye are 4-1 in the same time span. Chase Young was added, and that's gonna make a already excellent defense that much better. The 49ers need to win after 3 L's in a row, and they have to feel it from their haters right now, kind of like the Cowboys. Everyone hates. There's many haters of the 49ers as there are Cowboys, and they got to be just loving it. Meanwhile, the Jags have put together a nice run, but come up to the meat of their schedule for the remainder of the year. The Jags have been covering the last 5 games ATS. Their O is clicking, putting up 24 a game, and their D has gotten it done. Even in their losses, they were in the game really into the end. I like the 49ers, Jeff. Who do you like?
I like the 49ers in this one. I think the week off has probably done a lot for San Francisco. I think the offense was struggling a little bit. Defenses had found something that worked against Purdy. but I expect them to have addressed it in the off week, and I think they'll bounce back and cover this one.
Yep, that's where we're in agreement. Hey, next up, we got the future Super Bowl champ Ravens hosting the Browns and are favored by 6 with the over-under set at 37.5. This thing goes over for sure. And I know that's a contrarian pick, but let me make my argument. Watson was back, and the Ravens offense can score on anyone, which that includes a tough Browns defense. Both these teams can score at will. Look, 37.5 is not a lot of points to put up. Going back to 2020, the Ravens are 5-2 in this matchup. Again, this is a contrarian pick. Going with the over, as both teams are 1-2 defense for total yards and passing yards. But Watson looked great in the return, albeit against the Cards. But it was refreshing to see him play well. Meanwhile, Jackson's putting up MVP numbers in Baltimore, and Andrews is as productive a tight end in the league on offense as I've seen. And that offense is the third. I think it's the third best offense in the league. And they put up 38, 31, and 37 points of the last 3 weeks. I know the Browns defense is good, but I feel like this one goes 27-17 game to the Ravens. Jeff, who do you like here?
I definitely like Baltimore to win. I think Baltimore probably is my Super Bowl pick in the AFC. I've liked them all year, and I'm starting to like them even more. Jackson has been playing at an MVP level, but what's surprising is Baltimore's defense this year is their best since that 2000 dominant defense, Super Bowl winning defense, statistically, anyways. So yeah, that's surprising to me, and I think they're probably going to be the AFC rep. It's closer on the spread. I think Cleveland does keep it close, but straight up, definitely give me Baltimore.
Yep, that's where we agree. I think laying 6 points of chalk is too much, but my bet here is on the over. I think we get over this week on a lot of these games because they've really brought them down. Hey, Murray makes his return in the desert as car soaked the Falcons and our home dogs by 1.5. That was about 3 before they found out he was playing. Over under set at 42.5. I could bring out some really cool bird analogies here, but no one cares. Both these teams are terrible, and they're looking to the future. That being said, it feels like if Murray plays, 42.5 may be too low, too few in the desert. Jeff, does Murray impact affect the game line this much this early in his return, or is this going to be a Falcons win and Cardinals just kind of get better as he stays in there a few more games? What are your thoughts?
I am going Atlanta for the straight up win, but they have been one of my biggest disappointments this season. I have no idea what they're doing with Pitts, who was a good draft a year ago, and I don't even know why they drafted Bijan Robinson if they're not going to use him. So I don't know what they're doing. I don't think they're going to put this game away. I think Murray will at least keep it close with his legs. So straight up, I'm going to go Atlanta, but Arizona's going to keep it close.
Yeah, and that close is going to get it over the 42.5 for sure. Hey, the Lions travel to LA off their bye week and are 2.5-point favorites on the road against the Chargers. The over-under set at 48.5. Since 2019, the Lions have been 1-2-1 after the bye straight up, but are 3-1 ATS. But that was back when they lost all their games. Now they got to win them because they're usually favored. And the team is 6-2 ATS on the season. They've been a covering machine. The Lions might get Montgomery back, which would be huge. The Chargers D has played well against bad offenses, but have given up 36, 24, and 31 against good offenses. The only good offense they held down was the Cowboys to 20 points, and they still lost a game. So this feels like an over game. Palmer's on IR for the Chargers, and the Lions are coming off their bye week, getting healthy. I like the Lions here. Does Goff get it done in his return to LA this weekend, Jeff?
So this is my free pick. I do like the Lions coming off of not only their bye, but being embarrassed before that. And Dan Campbell has got to have been irate and beside himself these last 2 weeks, getting ready to play again. So I take Detroit to win this and cover.
Free pick minus 2.5 points. Jeff, I almost made this my free pick, but I got another free pick that came up that I like better. but this one was right there. I think I'm right there in line with you. Hey, the Seahawks limped home last week after being shellacked by the Ravens. This week they host the tough out Commanders and are favored by 6.5. Over under set at 45 and a hook. Since 2019, Seattle is 58% after a loss. The series is 2-2 going back to 2012, with Washington winning the last one in 21. The one area of concern for Seattle is their pass defense, ranked 20th in the league, giving up 237. Washington is a top 10 passing team, and Howell has put up 240, 250, 397, and 325 in the last 3 games. If they can get him in rhythm, the Commanders can keep it close and maybe get a win. Situationally, though, I really like the Seahawks coming off that loss last week, wanting to get it right. But 6.5, that could be too many for the Commander squad. Jeff, who do you like in this one?
This is one of those where I'm going to be split between straight up and against the spread. I think Seattle is going to be motivated to bounce back after that loss last week, and they play really well at home. And the defense for Washington, especially after trading away their ends earlier this, a couple of weeks ago, it's not going to be as formidable. But I just don't know what's up with Geno in Seattle. He has not played as well this year as he did last year. So I'm going to take the Commanders to keep it close and cover the spread while Seattle wins straight up.
I like that. I like that. I think when we get to the straight up picks, I think that's the way I picked it as well. I would actually stay away from the ATS bet all the way around here. And I actually would probably lean to the over. It feels like this one could get over with Howell throwing for about, 3 bills and, getting a couple touchdowns and getting another running touchdown. And then, Seattle covering for about 27 and being a 27-20 type thing easily. I could see that. Hey, Sunday night, the No Respect Raiders are hosting the New York Jets and are home dogs at +1. Despite their nice victory, putting up 30 on the Giants, the over-under is 36. Vegas got all this wrong. Pierce is the guy in Las Vegas. He was a hell of a player, and he caused the Cowboys tons of issues through the years. This guy it's just downright disrespect. This is a pick'em game, and they should have called it as a pick'em, right? But in Vegas, they're picking against their own team. And their offense looked much better last week under O'Connell, although it was the Giants. This seems like a trap bet by Vegas. Take the Raiders to win and cover here. I might even buy them, Jeff, on an alternate spread like -7 to get the juice. I would also lean to the over, and actually I'm leaning so much that's my free pick of this week. My free pick is take over 36 Vegas for the Jets. Lock it in. Jeff, does Vegas get it done this week?
I certainly don't think the Jets can be as bad on offense as they were last week. I thought they had made a little progress offensively in the 2 to 3 weeks before that. And then last week was just a dud. So I think they'll bounce back a little bit. And the Raiders, I think they had a big boost from the turnover at head coach. I think that was an emotional lift for a week. I don't know if it carries forward. It might, but I'm going to go in a close one. I'm taking the Jets straight up.
Taking the Jets. I'm taking the Raiders straight up. I think they had a lot more talent coming into the season. They squandered that talent with a bad coach. Now they got a guy in there that can motivate them. I think they're going to be hungry, and I like hungry. Hey, Monday night, speaking of hungry, we're not getting two teams that are not – the Bills are just eating grass on the grasslands. They're not eating any meat. Monday night, the Bills host the Broncos coming off a bye week and are somehow favored by 7.5 with the over-under set at 47. Bills have lost 4 games and are still 7.5-point favorites. I don't know. That seems kind of meh. They've been meh all year long to me. I mean, they had a big win against the Dolphins, but they haven't impressed. And they don't scare anyone either anymore. They used to scare people, but they don't. The Bills used to be a top 3 team, but after that loss, after the several losses, they're just not anymore. So I don't see how they cover by 2 scores. Seems too many. I like the Bills, but I'm going to stay away from the cover or the over, and I'm going to stay away from the spread here. Jeff, who gets it done on Monday night?
I think the Bills get it done straight up because they're playing at home, but I agree with you. They have been on a downhill trajectory for, at least the last 3 weeks, maybe more. And Denver, while they're, not very impressive yet, Peyton has seemed to turn it around a little bit, getting steady offense, and their defense, I think, is finally a little motivated by their offense. So they're starting to pick it up. I think Denver keeps this one close, and I kind of think they're on a slight upswing too.
The Broncos?
Yeah, I think the second half of this year, I'm looking at them to kind of improve and maybe start covering.
Yep. Well, as long as they stay under 8.5 wins, because that was my bet at the beginning of the season. That was my one long-term bet. So they have about 30. I think they're 2-6 or 3-5. They got 3 or 4 more games to lose. Hopefully, this will be one of them. But I wouldn't be. But I'll be honest with you. I wouldn't be surprised at how bad the Bills are playing that they lose this thing at home to the Broncos.
Possible.
I'm just going to throw it out there. I mean, the team is just meh. I mean, that's all I'm saying. They're just not playing that great of football. And I don't know why, because they seem to be a very talented team. But I think some of it had to do with Milano going down on defense, Jeff. Remember when we talked about that?
He was a
went down with
key.
the knee.
Yep.
And sometimes you lose a guy like that, and you just lose the brain trust of one side of the football. And I think he was the brain trust on defense. I mean, he didn't make all the plays. There's a lot of great players on the Bills defense, but I think he was the guy that probably made those adjustments, right? Or made the right calls that, kept the Bills in the games and got their wins. And without him, I don't think maybe the guys coming up will figure that out, and they'll get it right before the playoffs, because this is a great team. I'd hate to see them not, living up to their full potential. But hey, let's move on to our straight up picks. I'll start it off, Jeff, since I'm still down by 4. I got the Cowboys over the Giants.
So I've got Dallas over the Giants. I agree with Vegas. It's like a negative 1,700 or whatever. I don't think they lose this game.
Yeah, I didn't even cover the Cowboy game, quite frankly, Jeff, because it's like a college spread.
Yes.
So I mean, yeah. If you don't know to take the Cowboys, and quite frankly, I think laying 16.5 ain't a bad line at all for this as well. If you go back and look at the history, I think when you get up to that level, usually Vegas gets it right. Every once in a while they don't, like the Cardinals game, they didn't get it right. I think they were 14 there.
I'm surprised. I'd be surprised if New York scores over 6.
Yeah, so I got the Bears over the Panthers tonight.
I've got Chicago as well tonight.
I got the Colts over the Pats.
So that one was one it's close for me, but I did swing towards the Pats just because I think New England might be in a little bit of trouble the rest of the season.
Okay. I got the Bengals over the Texans.
Same here.
I got Saints over the Vikings. I think you're going the other way.
I've got Minnesota.
I got the Steelers over the Pack.
Same here.
I got Titans over the Bucks. I think you're going the other way.
I've got Bucks.
49ers over the Jags.
Got that.
Ravens over the Browns.
Definitely have that.
So I think this is another one we disagree with. I'm actually going with the Cardinals over the Falcons.
So I'm going Atlanta to win, but I think Murray will keep it close.
I'm going Lions over Chargers.
Same here.
Seahawks over Commanders.
Seattle, yep.
I got Raiders over the Jets. I think you're going the other way, right?
I'm going Jets.
I got Bills over the Broncos.
Same here.
All right, so we got quite a bit of divergence actually this week. We got Colts. I've got Colts. You got Pats. I got Saints. You got Vikings. I got Titans. You got Bucks. I got Cardinals. You got Falcons. And I got Raiders. You got Jets.
So 5 differences this week. Yeah.
Yep. All right, rookies. We'll put those up and we'll get them out. I think last week I did not do as well on getting things out, so I'll make sure I post those and get them up on TikTok and Instagram and X, because we're still there putting those out. Thanks for coming out. Jeff, give you the last word.
Well, I'm hoping to see some stability coming in injury situation. I think the injuries have been hard to keep up with, especially key injuries to star players and quarterbacks. Hope that settles down. And it still seems to be a year of a lot of controversial refereeing. And I think that would be something I continue to watch. I'm going to try and track it a little bit more as we go forward, just to see if I can, anticipate crews that might have certain tendencies that would impact games. So that's something I definitely want to look at towards the end of this season.
Yep. Maybe we'll have that for you next week. Remember, folks, if you'd like to join up, you can just give us an email. We'll get back to you. And good luck this week, and we'll see you next week.